What's going on? What's going on, my man? I saw the thumbs up. All right, getting that set up. Let me make sure that this link works for my YouTube. Okay, there you go. Is the music overpowering my voice? If the music is overpowering my voice, I would like someone to let me know. All right, it's good. Awesome. Sounds perfect. Good, good, good. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing started.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody, and welcome to my weekly Forex and crypto analysis. I do appreciate it for y'all hopping on, for y'all checking out the replay. Appreciate it a lot. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. So as those of you returning and as those of you who know my trading style, you guys know that I am not necessarily a fundamental analysis. I usually trade just off of technical analysis and my indicator, but I do like to look at the news forecast to see the potential times that where high impact news do occur. That's why you only see red flag or red folders on my screen right now. I only like looking at the high impact news. No, I don't really care so much for the numbers, and that's just me. You know, some people say that, oh, how can you trade without knowing about the fundamentals? And again, it's just me. I used to be that individual who used to look at news all the time, and it if anything, it made my trading worse than made it better. So that's the reason why I ended up not looking at the news at all. You know. So that being said, Monday Canadian dollar news at 1 p.m. We have Governor Macklin. He's going to be speaking, and you also have Federal Chairman Powell is going to be speaking as well. Based off of my experience, not so much movement happens when these two are speaking. So that's just in my opinion. But I'm still going to watch at those times to see if there's any type of high volatility in the market. Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. we have Canadian dollar news with the GDP month to month. 9 a.m. Central Standard Time we have U.S. dollar when Federal Chairman Powell testifies again, and then we have 6:30 p.m. where we have Australian dollar news with the GDP quarter to quarter. So that is for Tuesday. Wednesday, December 1st. There's gonna be NFP this week. Wednesday, 7:15 a.m. USD news, NFP employment change. 8 a.m. GBP news with the Governor Bailey speaking, and 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, Federal Chairman Powell testify again, and manufacturing PMIs for the U.S. dollar. So it's gonna be a good amount of news, right? December 2nd, it's going to be OPEC meeting that's for oil. So if you do trade oil, that's something that you want to watch for. Friday, 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, Canadian dollar, we have employment change and unemployment rate. And U.S. dollar, we have hourly earnings, NFP, non-farm payroll, and unemployment rate. So there's a lot of news this week, right? So you want to be careful with that, but at the same time, again, I am somebody who says, hey, even though there's going to be news, I'm just going to be just going to trade how I usually trade. And then at the time of news, if I'm not in any trades, I won't look to enter until the news passes by, right? So with that being said, let's go on over here to the charts. I'm going to go ahead and put this in full screen. Oops, sorry. I was pressing the wrong button. Okay, so DXY. Let's go on over to the weekly time frame and take a look at what we have for the DXY. So last week I was saying that, hey, I wanted to see the DXY at this point continue going bullish to the upside over here at these long-term fibs, right, where we had seen price drop to the downside from 102.993 down to 89.235, I was saying, hey, I want to see what the retracement is going to be looking like when price gets to over here. If it's going to hold, maybe I'll look to get into a sell opportunity, right? Right now, though, we can see that on the weekly time frame that it had left a very large wick to the upside, where I had drawn this resistance at, where I was saying, hey, right here is an area where price was rejecting, like when price was above the zone of 96.57 and 96.29 or 96.93 basically. Price was rejecting it and using it as a resistance, and then over here again price used it as a resistance before ultimately breaking through it. Now, we did have a point in time where price did break through it to the downside and then came even lower, but still, this is a zone overall that I had drawn out and price rejected. So what I'm going to be looking for is to see, is price going to do some type of retracement and push to the downside before continuing its path up here, or is it going to just reject off of this zone and continue to the downside? Because if I'm not mistaken, that could be more than likely where the 50% Fibonacci zone is at. And as much as I don't like trading it necessarily, I can't say there are times where price does respect it and then pushes to the downside, so I can't ignore it as well. Boom, like it's a little bit above it, right? It's a little bit above the 50% fib level, so that's just something that I wanted to see. But overall, I kind of still do want to see price continue going bullish at this point, but I want to see a retracement. I feel like it's been pretty bullish for the past couple of weeks now, and then I like seeing this weekly candle showing a potential hey, I'm gonna be looking to make do a retracement, or not even a reversal, like a retracement on the higher time frames, but a reversal on the lower time frames, right? Going on to the daily time frame, I'm seeing over here it looks like an evening star pattern is playing out, where you have a bullish candle. It's not a doji candle necessarily. That kind of looks more like there was weakness in the buyers, but at the same time, I'll go on to the lower time frames and show you guys what happened in that scenario. But overall, after this candle, that we have a big bearish engulfing candle right after that. So we could potentially be seeing signs of price starting to make a retracement on the daily time frame, right? We could potentially start seeing signs with that after seeing this type of evening star pattern. Going over to the 4-hour time frame. Well, before I talk about the 4-hour, let me talk about how, I would not have tried to catch this play, but going on over to the 5-minute time frame and looking at from these highs to these lows, we can see how price had made a spike up to these fibs and then started pushing to the downside. So that was just how that played out. And again, I personally would not have played it, because that would have been like, oh, I'm trying to catch a tippy top, which I kind of didn't. Not even kind of. I just didn't want to do that, right? So we also have price broke this previous higher low right here. I would say that, why is this not letting me turn it? That's so weird. But this higher low right here, or if you want to even consider, I would rather consider this higher low. Price is already broken through that. So again, what I would want to see at this point from this drop off that just happened, although I'm seeing some gaps in the market, which I'm not a fan when I usually see a gap, but I would still overall, if price came a little bit more bullish and then dropped, that'd be even better for those gaps, because I would want those gaps to get closed. But what I would want to see, 96.597, and then a push to the downside. That's ultimately what I would want to see with the DXY this week. I like the bearish move that it gave last week. If it does show that if it does show this bearish structure is gonna hold, then yes, absolutely, I'm looking to sell here. I know Peyton had already spoken of that in the next wave chat, but yeah, that's what I'm looking at for overall with the DXY. If it does come up to that 96.600, basically. Ooh, I cannot see that. There we go. So if price does come to that 96.600 area, that's where I'm going to be looking for possible sell opportunities on the DXY. And then I'll be looking to take that down back to like at least 95, or not at least, but the most at 95.032. Because again, overall, I mean, well, not again, but at this point, what I would want to see overall on the DXY, I've already established this fib. Let me make this white, and then I'm gonna use this. Overall, what I want to see is from this low to this high, I would love to see the DXY go back. I would love to see the DXY come down over here to 94.328 for it to then continue going bullish. And even, I mean, that's a little too soon after the bullish move that it made, because I mean, what we have over here, price went bullish, made a good retracement, continue going bullish. I kind of want to see, yeah, let me be more safer. I'd rather be safe than sorry, and I'd rather look for price to potentially come down over here. Let me see real quick. So headed bearish DXY, then we should be looking at buy trades on USD bears, correct? So since on the DXY I'm looking for it to retrace and then go bearish overall for the week, I would be looking for Euro USD, AUD USD, and GBP USD to potentially be going bullish, right? And then pairs like USD CHF, USD JPY, USD CAD, I would expect those pairs to be going bearish, you know? And again, of course, you also have to pay attention to what the other pairs, like, since that's what I'm looking at for the DXY. If I'm trading, let's say if I'm trading USD CAD, I also have to pay attention to what the Canadian dollar is looking like. If I'm feeling like, okay, because again, I usually say the DXYs are kind of like cheat codes to see how you could see what type of strength that pair is going to have. So if I'm trading USD CAD, I also might want to take a look at the CXY, where then that would be like, okay, based on how I'm feeling about the CXY, maybe you might be saying, hey, CXY, I want it to go bullish, which, I mean, I'm kind of feeling that way just by looking at this right now, but I'm not going to go too deep into this, right? But if the CXY is gonna, if I'm looking for buys on the CXY and sells on the US dollar, then I would be wanting to look for that sell opportunity on the CAD, on USD CAD, because you want whatever pairs you're trading, you want the opposite. If you want the DXY to go bearish, you want the opposite of said pair to be going bullish, so that can be helping with your bias. But again, I don't want to get too deep into that because it can get a little confusing. I'd rather just stick to the pairs that I'm looking at because it'll all come together once I talk about Euro USD. So that's what I'm trying to see on, oops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to hide this. So this is what I kind of want to see overall on the DXY, if it's going to give a healthy correction before it eventually comes up to this zone, back up to like 90, like the likes of 99 or like 98. I want to see price at least come back down to retrace into 93.382 before going bullish. And even that, it's still a long ways to go. I'll probably, depending on how the market moves this week, we might not even get something like that. So I'm just leaving that zone as a demand zone, because that's what it really ultimately is. Hold on, sorry. Let me zoom out. Let me go ahead and move this back to up here because that's what I'm looking at. But I'm drawing out this zone and I'm keeping it because, I mean, it is a demand zone. This is where price came into and demand came in and the DXY went bullish. So I'm going to keep that demand zone drawn over there. But ultimately, again, I am going to be looking for sell opportunities here on the DXY because I like the bearish engulfingness that it made. Like, you know, I've been trying to catch the buy on EU, but they just weren't the right time. But with this bearish, especially on the 4 hours, making a bearish move like this, I want to see what this retracement is going to look like before it falls down. Like, it'd be really surprising to me if the DXY did continue going bullish after this. All right, so that's the DXY. Let's go on over to Euro USD. I'm going to keep this on blue because I'm really watching for it. I color code my things. Like, if it's green, then I'm in the trade. These should not be green. Stop loss, got hit at break even. And if it's blue, that means I'm watching it. If it's yellow, then I'm like, I'm a little iffy on it. All right, so I don't know how many of you guys remember last week when I did my analysis, I had mentioned for DeFi domination and next wave, I had mentioned that, hey, I want to see price break out of this falling wedge before I start looking for buy opportunities again. Because I tried over here buying once, it didn't play out. I tried over here buying as well, it didn't play out. So I'm like, okay, at this point, I'm waiting for like some real structures to get broken. So let me just go ahead and do some lower high. Oh, that is dark. I cannot see that. Okay. Let me just break this down real quick and then we'll go ahead and speed on over with the other pairs. So EU, lower highs right there, lower lows over here. We have a lower high up here. Oops, that is not what I meant to do. And then we have lower low over here. Lower high, and this is when this bearish wedge. I mean, it doesn't really look like a super wedge, but these are not really parallel lines. It looks kind of parallel, but it's not completely parallel to each other. But it's like a falling wedge type of pattern where price is making lower highs, lower lows. But then once after making this lower high, it finally makes this lower low. I want to see it break through this previous lower high, which is this structure right here. And now that I've seen it break through that structure, now I'm going to be looking for a retracement. Gonna go ahead and pop up over here to... Wait, that is not what I wanted. I just want this to change a different color. There you go. Right? I'm trying to see this. It's gone bullish. I want the retracement back down to at least 1.2275. At least 1.2275 before I look to try to buy. Like, I could try to get into a buy right now. Price is over the 50 EMA on the 4 hour time frame. Hey, that's all cool, but I'm not gonna try to play that until it comes down to my fibs, because, well, fibs is one of my confirmations that I really, truly, and dearly need, right? So once I get the retracement back down to these fibs, then I'll look to take EU to the upside. So that's the play that I already have set up, but I also want to explain a little bit deeper on a higher time frame why I'm feeling that and why I have been feeling that for quite some time now. So I'm going to turn this into my buy box. Let me get my line over here and set an alert. Fib buy possibility. Okay, so we've gotten all that figured out, right? Right now, price is made a. This is the low. Price is made a high. I wanted to make a higher low, and then make a higher high right after for the change of structure. So there is that. Ooh, I did not want to delete that line. And I did not mean to delete that either. There we go. What I want to see on a higher time frame, let me get rid of this fib real quick. We know that it's there. Hide that. Weekly time frame. I had been talking about this higher time frame fib for the past, I think I talked about it like for the first time last week. I know Peyton had mentioned it in the chat. I'm like, yep, that's what, I mean, yep, Peyton mentioned it in the Next Wave chat, and I'm like, yep, that's exactly what I'm trying to see here, where price can potentially bounce off of this zone. I mean, and I'll talk about where I would probably want to see this buy on Euro USD go to before I want to see it continue falling. But I ultimately do want to see 1.11444 on Euro USD get hit on the weekly time frame, right? Now, price hasn't gone there. It could still take a couple of weeks before it gets there, but that's an area where I want to see. There might be some traders who are position traders where they'll be stacking positions. They'll be like, hey, at the 61.8 fib, I'm gonna put maybe 1% of my account on a trade right there, and then when it gets to 1.11430, if it gets there, let me say if, because the market is not everything is 100%, but if price gets there, they place another 1%, and then if price comes down to 1.0138, they'll put another 1%, and they'll look to see how that trade plays out. There might be some people who look that way because, again, on the weekly time frame, Euro USD was very much bearish at one point in time, and then it's broken some structures to go bullish. So we can still potentially see this continue to the upside in the future. But again, this is on the weekly time frame, so that is going to take a while for something like that to happen. Yes, Seno, go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, good night. So just a question on the clarity of the fib lines, right? So generally, what area on the actual fib lines would you usually look for the actual retracement? So I was reading about this thing about this golden zone and all this kind of thing, but I'm seeing on your fibs it's more like 0.7 something. So I just want some clarity on that.
For me personally, and this is just for me, I like my entry at the 71%, and my only reasoning, like my main reasoning behind it, is because it's between the 61.8 fib and the 78.6 fib. I'll talk about it on another day about like what the fibs stand for and everything like that. But I just, like I said, I like having looking for my entry at the 71% fib because it's right in between. But a rule of thumb is just anywhere in this box between the 61.8 and to the 78.6, you can look for potential entries for a buy, right? That's just my rule of thumb in general. Like, I can definitely look for a long-term entry right here at the 61.8 or the 71% or the 78.6. Or maybe I just take all three of them. I stack my positions, It's just depending on what you would prefer. But naturally, if you're looking for a buy, the higher the highest risk to reward that you would have is if price came all the way to the 78.6. But the only downside to that is that one is usually where price it's sometimes the hardest for price to get to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then also just to close it off, when you see the prices heading in that direction between the 61 and the 70 in terms of the flip lines,
Mm-hmm.
in this case, you are looking for an entry for a buy. What setups would you usually use to kind of confirm that, and in what time frame would you do it based on your style of trading?
Well, and you're just about to see that right now. That's a good example, and then you're gonna see that right now. All right. How about that? Does that work out for you?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
thank you.
No problem. No problem. Okay. So for Euro USD, for right now in particular, where we're seeing it at right now on the weekly time frame, let me go ahead and delete drawings real quick so that we can see the candlesticks a little bit better. You see this candlestick right here on the weekly time frame. Once I'm seeing something like this and a long wick to the downside, in my head I'm like, oh, this could be a potential reversal that we're having here on the just off of on the weekly without any type of drawings or anything like that on here. Just where the candle I'm seeing after this big bearish candle, and then I see a candlestick like that, I'm like, oh, we can potentially see a reversal happening around here. And so that's when I would look to draw. Let me get my annotation tool on Zoom. That's what I'll be like, okay, that's a zone where it just bounced off of. I could see potentially that right here is where price could bounce off of and go bullish, right? Especially after seeing that candlestick right there. I love seeing that candlestick, that type of candlestick formation right there. It's not telling me that it's going to turn around 100%, but that's a sign. So then once I see that, I'm gonna, because first of all, I kind of think that Euro USD since it's stopping right there with that type of candlestick, we might see some consolidation for a couple days, just off the bat, especially since it's NFP week. Then going on to the daily time frame, same thing right here. Let me actually hold on. Clear all drawings. Then we have here bearish candle, and then it's not a doji candle necessarily, but then right after this candle is a bullish engulfing candle. It just engulfed whatever price action, whatever price it did for 1, 2, 3, 4 days, almost five with the wick. So once I see that morning star candlestick right there, that's another sign for me saying, oh, this can be a potential turnaround for this price, right? So I've checked out the weekly, and I know that that price came to a weekly zone. I like the candlestick that the weekly is showing me. Then I've come to the daily time frame, and now the daily time frame has told me, oh, look, here's another candlestick pattern that you can use. I'm gonna go ahead and put my drawing back on. Oops. I'm gonna go ahead and put my drawing back on. This is all happening at this large zone, but let me go ahead and hide these real quick for you, so that those long zones from the fib isn't there, so that you don't have the influence of the fib to look at that. And I'm also gonna delete, let me not delete, just hide. I'll hide it, then I'll redraw it again. For y'all on my YouTube, y'all getting a class today. All right, so what we have over here, again, we see the morning star pattern. We see the morning star pattern right there. I like seeing that. A really good reversal sign on the daily time frame. And again, if we come, let me just go over to the weekly time frame and draw out the zone. Sorry. So right here we have all this zone right here where price had made some price action. This is really dark. So inside this zone is where price just bounced off of, right? I like seeing that. If you look to the left, we can see where price had bounced off of this zone multiple times. So that's another indication to tell you, hey, that is a solid zone indeed, right? I like that wick that we have there. Daily time frame, I like the candlestick formation. going on over to the 4-hour time frame, there is this falling wedge that I was saying, like, hey, I see this wedge that's forming right here. Let me actually make that wedge a little better. Right here, right? There we go. Now I can extend this to the upside. Got this wedge that could be potentially forming. And with falling wedges, I'm looking for price to make a breakout before it ultimately goes bullish. So I was seeing price making those lower highs, lower lows, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, just like I was saying. And I was like, I'm waiting for the previous lower high. And I'm just going to use the rectangle that I have right here. Oops, not that one. Not that one either. There we go. This lower high that was right here, I was waiting for price to break out of it. So now I got that bullish breakout to the upside. Now all I'm looking for is a retracement to get back into price. Now, this is on the lower time frames that I'm getting into these trades. I still do have a feeling that price on the weekly time frame, this is for just fibs, just is for a position size point of view or a long-term trader point of view, price can still potentially come any lower into this big fib zone. It could still come down anywhere in here for potential long-term positions. But right now, that's not what I'm looking for, right? If I was looking for that, I would have probably tried to get in. I'd probably get in one position right here for a long-term trade, and my stop loss would be extraordinary, but that's not the type of trade I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for a trade that I can take within the next couple of days and trade it for potentially like 3 to 5 days or something like that. But if I'm in a position trade, I'm going to be getting in right here, and my stop loss is going to be all the way down here at like 1.05726. And that type of distance is a lot. That's 688 pips right there. So again, that's not the type of trade that I'm really looking for. But where price is currently at, I can be looking for and expecting for some bullish price action. And so since that's what I'm looking for, it's wiser for me to look for buys after I'm seeing all those signs rather than for me to get into sells. Like if I was seeing all of this going on right here, this could have been an area where I sold. Well, not really, because that wedge wouldn't have formed. But right here, since price was still making lower highs and lower lows, right here would have been a good place for me to sell and then just take it to down here. But that's besides the point. Once I've seen now this breakout to the upside, I have my fibs drawn out. I've from the low to the high. I want the retracement over here at this 71% Fibonacci, and that's where I'm going to be looking to take it to the upside. I'm using those different price action, those different market structure, price action, and those different analysis that I'm seeing, and also the candlestick patterns to then make a decision on, do you want to get into this buy, or do you want to stay out of the buy? Does that answer your question about how I would get into that trade?
Yes it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
And so now that I'm waiting for a price to come down here, I'm just going to do literally the same thing I just did on the higher time frames. I'm just going to go do it on the lower time frames. I'm going to wait for price to come down into this 71% Fibonacci zone, wait for some type of price action, like if there's some tweezer bottoms down here, or if I see another morning star on the 15-minute or the 5-minute time frame. Anywhere in between this zone, though, is where I would still be looking for buys. It's just up to you if you want to wait for a candlestick formation, B, wait for like a double bottom, or if you want to look for a double bottom or a falling wedge on the smaller time frames. It's just up to you what patterns you would want to, what you're looking for in order for you to get into that trade. So that's how I would look for it. So like I said, if I see like a falling wedge down in this zone, or if I see a double bottom down in this zone, or if I see a bullish flag on a lower, like on the 5 minute time frame or something like that, those will be some type of confirmations that I'm like, all right, now this is what I'm going to use to get into this trade. There's some people who would just set a buy, like there's even me, like I'm one of these people. There's some people that would just place a buy limit right here and say, hey, when price gets there, I'm in the trade. Stop losses beneath these lows. If I get stopped out, that means that price is just gonna keep going to the downside, like how I was thinking, you know. So there's like different ways on how you can enter the market, but you just have to choose which one's the most comfortable for you. Like it took me a while to get comfortable with that type of trading, where I could just be like, all right, I'm gonna set a buy limit right here. I'm not even gonna pay attention to the market. If it gets there and it gets me in the trade and it goes in profit, awesome. If it gets there and if it gets close to there but it doesn't get me into the trade, oh well, it is what it is. If price takes me out my trade, in my head psychologically I'm comfortable with already taking any type of loss, because I know that the market isn't going to always give me the type of trades that I want. So if like with all this and how I've already got it set up and I have my thought process behind it, I'm already accepted that, hey, this could potentially be wrong. And so that's why I always, like, when you talk about risk management, you're like, oh, risk 1% or 3% maximum of your trade, of your account size for this trade. That's why I speak a lot about that, because again, when you psychologically know how much you're losing or how much you're risking, then everything's going to be all right for you. So, do you reckon there's going to be a drop because the stock market going to crash tomorrow over new COVID and crypto will follow to cover losses? I don't really get too caught up in the news. Like I mentioned, I really do not get caught up in the news at all. When it comes to trading, I just go with the flow, and if that's what's going to happen, then it is what it is. But I don't be paying attention to the news like that. I just pay attention to what the market structure is telling me, and I follow within those guidelines. All right, so that's Euro USD. Let me go over to arbitrage real quick. So I've done my technical analysis on that stuff. I'm just using my indicator arbitrage for further confirmations. So weekly time frame, I see, and for those who don't understand this, just bear with me and like just try to follow along as you can. So right now, price is at the third deviation. It's currently holding and rejecting there. I like seeing that, but it could be still too early to see some type of turnaround on Euro USD. Daily time frame, it's still very much bearish. Would still need to see price come up a considerable amount before I think of the Euro USD turning around and going bullish long term. 4-hour time frame, I love seeing this. It's called for the buy right up here. It's rejected off the mean line, and it's basically literally the same type of setup that I have on technical analysis. I love it when arbitrage and my technical analysis line up. It's just like a perfect thing. I want to see price retest this RSI line and lower danger zone before going bullish, which lines up right with my fibs. So I have a whole bunch of confluence going on with me. So like this is what I'm preparing for on Euro USD. Like this is what I'm gonna be like looking for throughout the whole week. 1 hour time frame, yeah, it's been bullish. It called for the buy right here, been bullish all week, so that's all good. But overall, again, it's like basically the exact same thing that I have on just naked trading with the charts. Like it's literally the same setup that I have. I just need this after a call for the buy. I need the retracement for confirmation, and off to the races with Euro USD. And DXY, just because I didn't look at it, That's my fault for that. Hey man, it's all good. And hey, yeah, if that's the thing. Once, like, as a new trader, you're gonna want to definitely figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. So hope that helps out. But yeah, so DXY, I would want to see on the daily time frame. Same thing. It has a lot of room before I could even consider that it's gonna start turning around, like on a longer term. Weekly time frame, extremely bullish, and it is rejecting off of the third deviation. So for it to start slowing down, it makes a lot of sense. But again, it's only for it to start slowing down. It doesn't mean that it's going to, but it's a possibility. Same thing with the daily time frame. I like where it's at. 4-hour time frame, it looks like in the next 1 hour and 14 minutes, that's when it'll officially call for the sell. But again, I would want to see that retracement happen before a drop happens. And so thing with the DXY though is that it can just come up to like right here at 96.530 and drop, or it can just keep going up a little higher, where those on arbitrage, you'd be a little worried and be like, oh, I might want to get out. No, if once price makes this retracement, I'm selling this thing, and if I take the loss, it's okay. There's, like I said, there's a whole bunch of confluences that are on my side, and if I just lose the trade, then it just, hey, it wasn't meant to be. And we'll even see what the market looks like once price gets there. We don't have to just hop in right when it gets there, but it's, the probability is good. The probability is definitely there for me. So that's for the DXY and AUD/USD. And Euro USD. Let's go ahead and pick up the speed a little bit, because it's basically going to be the same thing I'm looking for on everything else. All right, so weekly time frame on AUD/USD. So daily time frame. Let me see something real quick. Bearish engulfing candle. I'm not looking for AUD/USD to turn around quite yet. I was kind of looking for the same thing on Euro. So this is a perfect example as to show why you'd want to wait for some confirmations before getting into a trade. So I was looking for the exact same thing on AUD/USD right here, where it's on this falling wedge, and I wanted to see the breakout and then a retest before getting into a buy. This is exactly why you want to wait for the breakout, because price just came down here. It never came back up to these highs and just kept falling. So that's why you want to wait for that breakout before trying to get into a trade, right? You want to wait for those multiple confirmations to occur before getting in there. So overall, for those who are still in that swing trade that I had talked about weeks ago, and I didn't call that, and I played myself on that, and because I'm not in that trade. If I'm not mistaken, that's what I was looking at, but it didn't play out. Okay, that's good. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at this on the weekly. Super bearish on the weekly. Came to these equal lows. I suspect that this is going to continue going to the downside. I'm not going to try to get into a buy after seeing these type of bearish candlesticks like that, even though on the DXY I'm expecting it to turn around. The Australian dollar, on the other hand, I feel like it's just going to keep falling. That's what I really what it really looks like it's coming down to right now at this point. If I take this fib and I draw out the setup that I had for the sell, which it looks like the sell is going to play out, it was from these highs to these lows down here. These lows, price went up a little bit higher than the 78.6, but then ultimately came back down, and then rest is history. And again, I feel like this is going to end up pushing to the downside even further. If I go on to the daily time frame, it's a little bit more clear. I could even put this up over here at this fibs, but it's the same thing basically. Price just went up a little bit higher, started to make a reversal, and then just crashed. So when it comes to AUD/USD, I'm personally going to stay away from it right now. It looks like it's bearish, and at this point, the only thing that I would kind of have to play on it is on a large time frame point of view. I mean, because this fib I don't think is going to play out, quite honestly. Like, this was the first buy opportunity we tried it, then price ended up coming back down, got out early to get some partial profits. And I'm talking about this from like, this was back in when? This is back in like beginning of October, where I was like, okay, let's get into a buy opportunity for AUD/USD. But anyways, like I said, right now at this point, what I would really want to see is price go bearish. I mean, I'm not the biggest person, or I'm not the biggest fan of when price decides, or I'm like, oh, let's get into a sell stop. I'm not like the biggest fan of sell stops or buy stops. So, and especially for a pair that I don't necessarily need to play it off like that, I'd rather just leave AUD/USD alone. Maybe on the lower time frames right here, we can probably get some type of retracement after prices made this drop, because again, at this point in time, I just kind of feel like AUD/USD is just going to continue going to the downside. Like, you might want to play off of these bearish moves, the retracement. You might want to play something like that, but even that, it's kind of risky, because how low is AUD/USD going to drop before it makes a decent sized retracement? Because, I mean, for me at this point, if I were to really try to get into a trade on AUD/USD, I kind of would have to see it come retrace back up all the way to 0.72953, rather than trying to get it at these lows, you know? Like, it would have to turn around quite a bit for me to try to get into any type of sells. So that's why I'm just like, at this point, AUD/USD, I'm gonna just kick you to the curb. Not really gonna look for you for any potential type of trades until I start to see a reversal. And hey, the reversal can come off from arbitrage, quite honestly, and I might play it, because if arbitrage give me a decent play on it, then why not? But again, AUD/USD is not my pair this week for me to look at. Weekly time frame, it's been bearish. Price came up to the RSI line and rejected off of it. Daily time frame, price called for the sell right here, went extremely bearish, but I would not have gone into that right there, honestly. 4-hour time frame, setting up for a potential buy, but I mean, I would have to see something like this happen before I try to get into a buy. So that's kind of out of the question for now. 1-hour time frame is setting up for the buy. So again, this would be what I would probably most likely look to trade. If anything, wait for a breakout, get the retracement, continuation. I mean, probably I'd want to look for a little deeper retracement than that. But, I mean, that's what I'll look for on AUD/USD. So I'm going to set the alert for that. Okay, long. Once per bar close. Long entrance, create. So we'll see what happens on that AUD/USD. I'll be keeping my eye on it as well. But it's going to be... I mean, I'm not against the buys, because I'm looking for buys on Euro/USD regardless. But AUD/USD and Euro/USD move differently. So I'm not even going to try to be on the same type of wavelength as they are on right now. Like, I'll treat them as two different entities. Alright, so UCHF, still in this overall swing buy right here. Gonna hide this though and delete everything else. Let's get fresh charts up in here, fresh eyes. Or you know what? I don't need to delete everything necessarily. I think I'm good with what I have over here. Alright, weekly time frame. Price bounced off of this zone, which is the fib play, went bullish, dropped off on this fib play again, went bullish, came to these equal highs One thing I'm not really caring about these equal highs on UCHF is how large that wick is. That wick is pretty big. You know, that's pretty big wick to leave to the upside like that. I'm glad I took my partial profits there. That's where I usually would take my partial profits at equal highs like that. Daily time frame, however, very bearish engulfing candle, just like with the DXY. The boss, I will answer that question in a few minutes. All right, give me a couple minutes. But just like the DXY, with how the DXY went bearish, UCHF looks pretty much the same thing for me at this point. So I'm kind of in, like, although I'm in this buy, I'm kind of like, okay, I might be seeing potential signs of UCHF turning around, right? 50 EMA right now, as of right now, is holding. Price is holding above that 50 EMA, and it looks like it's potentially leaving daily squeezer bottoms right here. So if it's leaving that, then I might be, hey, maybe I'm not going to try to get in this. But again, this is a bearish engulfing candle. Engulfing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, almost 10 days worth of price moving, right? So it's kind of hard to go up against a bearish engulfing candle like that. And then on the 4 hour, when I'm seeing price break this lower high, I think you guys are getting where I'm starting to get at now. With me seeing price breaking this lower high right here, I'm like, okay, we might be seeing a potential trend reversal, right? If we go, I mean, if you want to be really nitpicky with it, you can go on to like the 5-minute time frame and see that this is a whole fib zone of itself. I'll just do it right here. Right? Drop off, retracement, 71%, almost came to the 78.6. Pushed to the downside pretty damn hard. Like, but again, that's only if you were like on the lower time frames and you were, I mean, if you were on the 4 hour and you saw that, that could have been a tattletale sign right there with that price action. But anyways, so 4 hour with this type of bearish move, and it's like pretty impulsive. I'm waiting for the retracement. Yeah, this is very much impulsive. Like on higher time frames. On the 1 hour, it looks like it's slowish, but not really. It's just like really impulsive. At this point, I'm going to be looking for, I'd rather just get it from that high. I'd be looking for 0.93268 for a potential day trade opportunity. So I got the push to the downside. Retracement, continuation. That would be a pretty healthy look on this type of play. And I only say that because price did come up to those equal highs on the daily time frame. And it left that, well, not even on the daily, on the weekly. And then it came up to these equal highs right here. And the first time price came up and got these equal highs, it pushed down, and then it's even a more bearish candle than what this looked like. So I could only imagine what price is going to do. But again, we'll see what happens throughout the week, right? What happens if this is just going to be like, hey, you thought so, but I'm just going to end up taking out these equal highs and then even continuing going more bullish. So we'll see what happens on UCHF, but slowly but surely my bias is switching towards a sell, especially with how the DXY is looking. But I'm still in this buy. I'm gonna just be observing what it's gonna be like. If price comes up here and I feel like it's gonna sell, I'd be like, all right, I'll get out of these buys and potentially hop into a sell. So that's for UCHF. Let me go on over to arbitrage real quick. Weekly time frame. Looks like it's level pro and arbitrage Z are at the ground zero. We might be seeing a reversal going on UCHF for Rose. We might be seeing that. Daily time frame, prices right at the mean line and the RSI line, this black line right here. So it's still bullish a little bit, but I'm gonna be watching it. I'm not necessarily gonna trade off of the daily time frames though. 4 hour time frame sure called for a sell. Yep. I don't like trading the 4-hour when it looks like this, but the only way that I would try to play off of this sell right here that it just called, I'd have to see it go bullish and then continue going to the downside, right? That's what I would really have to see in order for me to keep playing this sell. But again, that's, I mean, off of the arbitrage bands like this, I'd have to see it at that point in time. 1 hour time frame, it's still a long way before it decides to even call for a buy. So, I mean, or not even call for a buy, for it to get to the RSI line. So, like, I mean, at this point, again, I would just rather wait for a retracement back up there for a potential sell more than anything else. Okay, so I'm going to call this sell box. Set up an alert. All right, so we'll see what happens. But after, like I said, after seeing, I mean, we have 3 black crows right there. Bearish candle, bearish candle, bearish candle. Seeing that, I want to see a retracement for a potential entry. It could just keep going and selling and I don't even get this entry, or it can come to my entry and then even stop me out. But whatever happens, I'll live with whatever the market gives me, because it's just the market, right? All right, USD Mexican, I was saying, hey, this could be a potential sell here. I'm so glad that I never got into it. I wasn't feeling the price action and the way how the DXY was looking. I was like, that thing looks like it's just going to keep going to the upside. So I didn't get in. And that's exactly what USD Mexican did. I'm still mad I didn't end up staying in those swings, but it is what it is. All right. So weekly time frame. Weekly time frame finally. I mean, and people are going to be like, or somebody's going to say, oh, well, that's just whatever. But if we really look at how this is moving, we shouldn't really be surprised at how price was playing around in this fib zone, and now it's finally, I mean, it's not that we shouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, I don't think it's a coincidence that price is just, it came to these fib zones and is actually held at these fib zones, is now going bullish on a weekly time frame. I'm not trying to say that, oh, that fibs work 100% of the time, but I mean, if somebody tries to argue this, is like, I mean, look at the chart. It came to all these fibs, and it respected the zone, and now it's breaking out to the upside. If it continues going bullish, then yeah, I mean, the fibs do have a high probability of working. So, that was very loud. I'm sorry. That was really loud. USD Mexican, at this point, I have to just wait for a retracement before I look to get into a buy. Like, I obviously see that it's in a bullish move. It's broken through when it was coming to the downside. It's broken through lower highs right here. I mean, lower low, lower high, equal low, then it's made a high. Yeah, I mean, like I said, at this point, I wouldn't try to get into a buy right where it's at. Absolutely not. I'd rather just wait for a retracement before I even look to play off of it. And I don't even know where I'd want to get the retracement from. I mean, more than likely, I'd rather get the retracement from where the bullish move really happened, like from this start and eventually made its way up there. So like back down to 20.81. But again, that'll take a while. So I'm not even gonna overanalyze this or look at this way too much. I'm just gonna leave it at that, because I know I'm not even gonna play anything off of it right now, just based off of how this on how the technical analysis looks. I know that I'm not gonna play this right now. Like, that's just me. So going on to arbitrage, on the other hand, this might give me an opportunity to get into a trade. So weekly time frame, called for the buy down here. bounced off the RSI line very nicely, catapulted up to the upside. It's currently at the second deviation. That's good to see. I want to see price start to slow down potentially. Daily time frame, it's gone all the way to the third deviation and even went out of bounds, and then now it's starting to look like it wants to turn around. I want to see it again. I want to start seeing some bearish price action, or I want to see some bearish action going on. 4-hour time frame, we're not quite there yet, but we'll be getting there shortly on the 4-hour. And then on the 1-hour time frame, if it could hurry up, there we go. On the 1-hour time frame, it seems to me that there's a gap in the market. And it's not even that it seems to me, I mean, there just is a gap in the market right here, as we can see. I hate when this happens, because especially when a fib like this, it actually plays out very nicely from that high to this low. Right there, that's a very telltale sign that price is going to reverse. Price made the reversal to the upside. I would not have gone into this because of the time of day. It's literally an hour before the market closes. I would not get into any type of trade like that, but then price dropped. But yes, exactly. So that gap is the weekend space. When it comes to currency pairs, I wouldn't necessarily, after seeing a gap like this, I would wait for price to possibly close that gap before I end up trying to get into the trade, because this all was not being traded, but price ended up getting over here. It happens on few times. Some brokers, even, this might be visible on FXCM, but let's go and see if it's on a different pair as well. Let's go to Forex.com and let's see if the gap is there. Okay, so you see on here, it doesn't show a gap. It shows that, oh, well, that's just a bearish candle that happened. If we go on to a different broker, we'll see what's there, right? IDC. See, IDC, it has a gap right there. Let's go to a different broker. So we have 2 out of 1 brokers that have a gap. Let's see what this one's talking about. All right, so that's 3 brokers to 1 that are showing a gap. So I'm going to believe that there's a gap right there, right? That's just something that I do. I like, okay, maybe it's just my chart that looks like that. Let me go look at what the other providers are telling me. And if they have gaps as well, then I'm just going to believe it's a gap in the market. So with that being said, I'm going to want to see price come back up to at least, like, to say the least, 21.91270. But I really want to see this gap get closed at, where's the close? 21.73661. That's where the close of this candle, 21.89980. That's where this candle closes. And that's what I want to see price get back up to before I try to sell it. But just off of this arbitrage right here, price is under the RSI line and it could definitely fall. But it's just with that gap, I wouldn't be able to trade this in good conscience. That's just me. So there's that for USD Mexican. I'd probably take a look at it for arbitrage, but that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that note for myself. RB only. Because since I have it a blue, that means I'm looking at it. But I'm going to have that RB only, so I make sure that that's all I'm looking at it for on USD Mexican. Gold. Man. All right, let's talk about gold. I'm so glad I didn't trade it at all last week. Oh, and before I continue this, I'm so sorry, the boss on YouTube, I forgot to answer your question. So you had asked, does the yen typically move like the US dollar? It seems when dollar pairs are falling or rising, then the yen pairs are falling and rising, like doing the same thing. How about we take a look at that? Let's go on to the DXY. Or hold on. Yeah, let's go on to the DXY. Let's get rid of all those. And let's also look at the JXY, the Japanese yen. Or I am tripping. Sorry. So there we go. I'm so sorry about that. Now let's compare symbols and let's go to the JXY. Same price scale. From what I'm seeing, they actually are the exact opposite. When let me put this into candlestick form. Style candles. Okay. So yeah, as I was saying, from what I'm seeing, nah, it looked better with the line. It just looks to me as if that when the DXY is bullish, the JXY is bearish, and vice versa. And like we're even seeing that it's looking like the JXY is turning around just as the same time as we're looking to see that the DXY is turning around. Let me even turn this into a line chart so it's even more visible as to how I feel like these actually do the exact opposite. Yeah, to me it seems like they do like the exact opposite. Not the, I wouldn't say exact like 100%, but if the DXY is bearish, then you want to look for a bullish JXY is what I'm trying to get at. So I hope that answers your question. We were both able to see it with both of our, with our own eyes. Now let's go on to gold. So Goldilocks. Oh, this is from what I had talked about this like a couple of days ago, and I forgot that I still had it on the chart. Let me delete it real quick. Alright, so Goldilocks. Currently rejected off the 78.6 fib very nicely. Went up a tad bit higher, but rejected off it very nicely and dropped with some pretty good force. If we go on to the weekly time frame, and I'm going to turn off the drawing so that the candlesticks are more visible, we see here that we could potentially have an evening star pattern. Where we, of course, I forgot the drawing. Pops up when I try to draw anything. Let me get annotation. Where you have bullish candle, but then you have a bearish candle, then a bearish engulfing candle right after. That's a potential evening star pattern that we might be seeing. I like seeing that weekly engulfing candle, and I want to see this candlestick we have right here try to do a retracement before falling. It is currently under the 50 EMA on the weekly. So that's something that we have to pay attention to. Daily time frame. Oops. I think I could have drawings up here now. Weekly time frame. The daily time frame. This candlestick wasn't really something that we want to see if we're trying to look for sells. But as of right now, the current candle that's printing out, it looks like price is just taking out some equal lows down here. And also, this is just because for S&Gs, you know what? Let's just delete them for now and then I'll bring them back to life. From this low to this high, we can see that price is, right now it's at the 71% fib for a potential continuation bullish move. But again, this is just for S&Gs. I'm not necessarily bullish on gold, but I do want to see it come back up to at least the 23.6 fib, like at least 1848. That's why I want to see at least happen with gold. So let me go ahead and bring those back. So I like seeing that wick to the downside, and the volume that is like behind it from these candles is there's pretty high volume there, but I'm not going to talk about volume right now. Again, overall, what I want to see with gold, let me get rid of this bigger fib, is I want to see it retrace back up to the upside. I love seeing that wick to the downside. It's kind of telling me that, oh, the sellers aren't interested in the market right now, and the buyers might be taking over, so a possible bullish move might happen. I'm not going to lie to y'all, I'm most likely am going to hop into a gold buy as soon as I get off this analysis. I'm not gonna lie to anybody, because I do want to see price go to the upside like that, and I like seeing that wick to the downside. Now, I do know that this wick can possibly get filled up, but overall, I do want to see price come back up to 1849. Let me just get this fib right here. Like the lights of now 1846, but 1849 wouldn't hurt either. But 1847 basically. Let's just leave it at 1847. Now I want to see price really go bullish up to the 1847 before pushing to the downside again. That's the play that I've been talking about for the past couple of how long with gold. I've been bearish on it. Want to see after this bearish push a retracement, then a continuation. If I were to buy it, right now would be the time to buy it, quite honestly, because of that wick. I do believe that price leaving that wick to the downside is a telltale sign that, hey, gold wants to start to turn around and possibly go bullish a little bit. So there's that. Again, I am most likely gonna get into a buy on gold right after this analysis and put my wick right below 1768. But we'll see what happens. Going over to arbitrage, 1 hour time frame. I would not trade this how it looks right now. It looks like a breakout is still waiting to happen on either side, although it looks like this literally played both sides. That's funny on the daily. Let me go on to the weekly time frame. The next analysis I do, the next weekly analysis I do is going to be on the monthly time frame. Weekly time frame, this looks very confusing as well. Like, I wouldn't trade the weekly time frame on gold right now necessarily either. Daily time frame, I'm pretty sure is pretty bearish. Yep, pretty much bearish under the RSI line, so I would have to see price break above that black line before I try to say that I'm really gonna buy. But again, I'm just looking for a retracement. I'm not looking to buy gold overall. That sell played out nicely. Gold 4 hour time frame is setting up, so just like how this is how I wanted to get into the sell, the exact opposite for the buy, and going up to like going up to 1856 wouldn't even be that terrible, quite honestly. So that's something I'm watching for on gold. Gonna long entrance create, and then 1 hour. Like I said, I would not trade this at this time. It just looks like it played both sides, but I am more bullish. Small time frame wise, I'm more bullish on gold than I am bearish at this point. I don't want this to be yellow. Hold on, give me a second. I be picky in my color coding. Okay, so that's for gold. So going over to the US indices. And no problem, the boss. I'm just seeing your response right now. I'm sorry. Okay. SPX 500, nice drop to the downside. Nice drop to the downside. I like seeing that. After that buy play, price took off a little bit, went a little bit past above all-time highs, and then came back down. Okay, going over to the weekly time frame. Let's see what we got over here. Got cooking. Okay, bearish engulfing candle. That's cool, but don't want to get too caught up on that with U.S. indices, because just like how every other time it looks like it's gonna fall, it bounces back up and goes back to all-time highs. These things are built to buy, so that's one thing that we've got to remember, right? Daily time frame, price literally just bounced off of the 50 EMA, then went a little bullish. Daily wise, what I would want to kind of see to get into a new longer term trade on S&P would have to be for price to come back down to 4,410, and then I would look for it to continue going bullish to make all-time highs to even potentially 5K. Right? Again, these indices, they're built to buy, and if I have a higher chance of getting into them and making profits off of them when they go bullish, I'd rather look for bullish opportunities than bearish opportunities, right? The bearish opportunities, as fast as they can happen, they might not happen as often, or you might not have the better, you would just more likely have a better chance at getting into the buys, right? So this is what I'm looking at for US indices for it to come to overall for a potential long-term buy box right there. And okay, so now let's go on over to the lower time frames. Oops, actually, before we do that, draw out my line over there. Okay, shrink this down a little bit. Bearish engulfing candle breaking the previous lower high right here, or this can be the previous higher low, or this can be just a new higher low, because realistically speaking, on the daily time frame, after it's made these highs, it hasn't really made a deep higher low, which again, this could be what that is potentially. Who knows? Let's go and see what we have on the 4-hour time frame. I'm not too crazy about selling it, but I do see a possibility on how this can keep falling. I do definitely see a possibility on how this can keep falling, because, so first of all, after these wicks to the upside, which you see again, some candlesticks are showing obvious signs of a reversal right there. After price had dropped, made a retracement back up to the 71% fib, and then ended up falling even more to the negative 61.8 extension, I wouldn't be so surprised if something like this were to happen to price, where it comes back up either A, to like 4,700 and then go bearish, or B, come up to 4,680 and then go bearish. You know, I wouldn't be so surprised if something like that were to happen. Let me get rid of this right here, because again, we're seeing some bearish impulsive moves going on to the downside again, and it's also broken through the previous lower high on the daily time frame, if you want to argue and say that that's a higher low. I mean, I wouldn't consider that to be a higher low, but I do see that this is a bearish engulfing candle on the daily, and that price can definitely look to be pushing to the downside a little bit more before making the decision. Let me even see where some volumes is chilling at. All right, so according to the VPN, or according to the point of control, there's still a whole bunch of volume down here that could be captured before price continues going bullish, and there is some volume up here as well. So, you know, again, I'm not really too crazy over trying to get into a sell on the S&Ps or the US indices, but I do see the opportunity there. I do see the possibility of, hey, if you want to try to get into the sell, by all means, price is probably going to either, like I said, come to 46.80 and then fall, or price is going to go up to 4,700 ish and then fall. You know, that's what I'm kind of seeing on these indices. If somebody calls them, and I'll be like, hey, it's something that I've marked up and it looks pretty clean. I'm pretty sure Peyton, he was talking about sales on the indices last week, and I definitely see them. But again, it's just that these things for me are built to buy, and I'd rather look for the buy opportunities down here at 4,409 if price gets there. If price doesn't get there, it is what it is. Let's go on over to RB. Oh, and also, before I continue on RB, just want to point this out as well. So I'm gonna leave those two up there. Peyton's gonna hate the way how I draw this, I already know. But if I were to say that, oh, this from this bullish move where price just made this quick higher low before it made a higher high, from that fib to this high, I mean, we could argue and say that, oh, that's what this is bouncing off of, like this whole structure right here, and it could go bullish from there. We could argue that, but then again, look where I'm still looking for price to, look where I'm still expecting price to come up to before falling, like that 23.6. So that's what I'm gonna be kind of looking at for S&P. Again, if somebody does call that, or if I see somebody saying similar anywhere around DeFi domination or on next wave or on arbitrage, wherever, I'm gonna go ahead and take that opportunity. So I'll be watching it, but I think I have other things that I'd rather trade than that, right? So US indices, I remember I had marked up, I was saying, hey, right here, this looks like a possible buy entry, and it did play out, but again, I wasn't trying to necessarily play that right there. So US indices, do I have my water in here? Because my throat is getting thirsty. No, I don't. I'll drink this real quick. It's the water I use for my diffuser, but I don't really care. Alright, so Wall Street, US 30, weekly time frame, looked pretty bearish. That is something that was and it's funny because US 30 was actually pretty bearish even before the other US indices became bearish. So it was kind of interesting seeing how this really fell down like this. And so one thing now that's the reason why I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to necessarily buy the S&P in them, is because with this drop of US 30, if we get the fib from this low to this high, look where price just literally bounced off of. It literally just bounced off the 61.8, and now is possibly going to go bullish. But again, it's kind of the same thing with S&P 500. At this point, I kind of just want to see 34,428 get hit before I look to potentially take this to the upside even more. So I still would want here to get tapped before I potentially get into a buy on US 30. That's the reason why when price was over here, because I remember and this is for those who might have caught it between next wave and DeFi domination. It's like I was saying that, oh, not right there, sorry, right over here. Like I was saying, like, hell yeah, price can potentially go for a buy, but I'm not necessarily gonna play it because I wasn't confident in that, right? I wasn't feeling too confident in that type of play. I was like, if it's gonna drop and I wanted to get into a buy, I wanted to drop a little more than that. But I mean, these 3 days pretty bearish, so I'm still not gonna try to get. I mean, not 3 days. Like those 3-4 hour candlesticks are pretty big, so I'm not gonna necessarily try to get into a buy quite yet. I'm still gonna let the market do its thing with US 30. Arbitrage, pretty bearish. I'm not gonna try to play that. 4 hour, it's pretty bearish as well. Daily time frame, I could only imagine what it looks like. Oh wow. Oh wow. Yeah, this didn't even give anybody a chance on the daily. And weekly time frame, it's still very much bullish. More than yeah. But it could be okay. Last time, I have not seen this call for a sell in quite some time on the weekly, so it is setting up for a possible sell, but it's not quite there yet, like by any means. So we're gonna be patient on the US indices as well. Not really gonna trade anything. If I see somebody else call something, I might get into it, but other than that, I'm good off of them right now. All right, let's go on over these cryptos. Oh, Bitcoin making a bounce back, huh? Nice. Nice. I like seeing that after stopping me out at break even. hey, I'd rather get stopped at a break even than my stop loss getting hit. All right, so fresh chart on Bitcoin, right? So going on over to the weekly time frame. The previous week wasn't that good looking, but last week's candle, there's room for optimism. There's room for optimism with this weekly candle that closed an hour ago. So that's one benefit to what I'm seeing on Bitcoin right now. But you know, as much as I want to draw the zone out here, it makes me just feel like price is just going to come back down to it. We'll see about that right now. Before I continue, now that the futures closed last week, it should be getting exciting. Yeah, I like what you just said. Now that some of the futures closed, some things are getting exciting. If we look at what happened last year when we were entering Bitcoin into December, it was pretty magnificent, if you will. We were right over here, close to these all-time highs. Where is it? So over here before December, pre-December, we started seeing some bullish price action right around here. And like 2026, we had a bearish day where price closed at 17,160. And then price on December, right before December 1st, it came up to the equal highs of the all-time high. Basically, right? That's when price was making that I'm gonna go crazy, explosive Bitcoin move. Then we had like close to middle of December takeoff, and that's where Bitcoin became and made all-time highs at 64K. Man, that's so wild to say. But anyways, right now, daily time frame price is still underneath the 50 EMA, so that's something that we got to be wary about. 4-hour time frame, just because price hasn't really broken any structure for me to say that okay, it's broken above a lower high, which is right here. I like the bullish move that we have here. I love it, like for sure. But we can potentially see some type of rejection right here. And I mean, there's a wick that got left at 78.6. I'm not going to say I'm going to get into a sell because I'd rather get into buys. I'm more bullish on the cryptos than I am bearish on them. I'm not saying that I'm going to sell it, but this is a supply zone that we got to watch out for. Yeah, if it breaks through the supply zone and goes bullish, guess what I'm going to be looking for? After it goes bullish, I wait for the retracement into like the 61.8 or the 71%, and then I continue taking it to the upside. That's what I'll look for if I'm looking for buys. But right now, based off of this time frame that we're on, it's just making lower highs and lower lows. And the 4-hour time frame is a pretty sturdy time frame to be seeing lower highs and lower lows made. So this is what I would have to see for me to get into a buy on Bitcoin as of right now. Right? Going back to the daily time frame, yes, from this wick right here, because this is the wick that happened before price really did take off. Yes, I do see that price can be rejecting off of those fibs and it can still go bullish from here. Yes, I'm not taking that away from anybody. However, from this bearish move where price was consolidating down here, and then when it really started to make that bullish move, price still has some retracing that it can do. Price can still come up to that 50K, 48K, 45K. I've said this multiple times. Peyton has said this multiple times. So I'm really at this point in time, I'd rather just look for the buys down here rather than try to get into buys right here where price was just consolidating a whole bunch. You know, and it'd be much better if I were seeing some type of consolidation going on down here, because that means that okay, from this buy, price has actually done a decent retracement off of that. You know, it could just be bouncing off this 50% fib right here, because I'm pretty sure that's where it bounced off of. Let me go and take a look. Yep, just like barely underneath that 50% fib. That's where it could definitely be bouncing off from. But hey, that's not, again, that's not the type of fibs that I like to trade off of. So at this point, I'd rather just wait for 48K, 45K before I look to try to get into another buy on Bitcoin. So I'm pretty sure, again, Peyton has the same thing, but I'll listen to what he has to say when he does his analysis next. Or if he just drops some chart in the next wave chat. So that is for Bitcoin, right? And even, okay, so I've already shown that, hey, it could potentially go bullish from where it's at. That's cool and everything. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, price does really come to that 48K and then it continues falling even past below 40K, right? Next place that I'd really be looking for it to come down to is kind of that 40K, 30, 37, 36K zone. And then if that doesn't happen, then at that point, I'm like, all right, you know, I haven't talked about this in a while, but I'm like, all right, you know, from this push, this bullish push that happened, price almost came to the 61.8. I mean, I would consider that very close to the 61.8, but it never did come down to it. Like, price can still come down to these fib zones, like 22K potentially. Although it's kind of hard for me to think that at this point it's gonna get there after it's already made like higher highs from the previous higher highs. It's kind of hard for me to believe it's gonna come down to 22K, but it's possible. You know, the possibility does exist there, and it's something that is always in the back of my head. But that's not what I'm analyzing. That's not what I'm on right now. When price had came back up here and then it fell, that's what I was thinking. But then since it made higher highs right after that, I'm like, okay, I can't think that way right now. You know, it's broken through structures. Now I'm really thinking it's bullish. So again, with Bitcoin, I'm kind of waiting for 50K, 48K to get hit before I look for buys. And if it buys from right here, that's totally fine. My crypto wallets are going to be happy. You know what I'm saying? That's how I always look at it. I'm like, if this doesn't happen for me margin, guess what? My crypto, my holdings, they're going to be happy about it. Ethereum, same thing. My stop loss, I got hit at break even. A cool 372 point move. Gonna go ahead and delete this. I was saying that, hey, I do expect some bearish pressure to come on when price gets over here. If I extend this a little bit more, you can see that price indeed did do that and then fell. So there is that. And I have to give the same type of thing to Bitcoin, right? I'm like, hey, I would have to see it come down to, I would have to see Ethereum come back down to 3,500 to 3,300 before I look for continuations on the buys. And I totally forgot to look at arbitrage on Bitcoin. But yeah, so that's what I would want to see on Ethereum as well. Same thing. I mean, Ethereum, it came, when it made this retracement, it came down to the 61% fib and gave people it gave people multiple opportunities to try to buy down here. I know my boy Peyton capitalized off of that for sure. He's like, I'm not letting this slide on me, right? Gave 3 different opportunities down here at the 61.8 fib to get in. Price did indeed make higher highs. Very nice. Very, very nice. All right, so, but like I said, with Ethereum, at this point, I would have to kind of see these prices get hit before I look to buy them again. And even if price continues going bullish, again, if Ethereum is going to go bullish, that's going to give some influence to the other cryptos, and it's going to make my crypto wallet happy. Absolutely. Let me go back on over to Bitcoin and look at arbitrage. Oh, and by the way, I could have so gotten into a Bitcoin buy earlier today. That's my fault for not capitalizing. Alright, so daily time frame called for a sell. Not really crazy over the sell. But again, I remember I had talked about if price does indeed call for a sell, getting prices at that 50K area wouldn't be such a bad look. And I mean, that's what it's kind of doing right now. 4-hour time frame. I really could have gone into a good 1 hour buy because the 1 hour buy was perfect, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. 4 hour, I wouldn't play this. Price has already done a big move right here. And then the 1 hour called for the buy right here. Oh, it called for the sell shortly after. Never mind. Yeah, never mind. I never mind. And I'm actually glad I didn't trade this because I would have gone out a little early, and then price would have gone up, and I would have been mad. So yeah, that's for Bitcoin. Let me go over to Ethereum real quick. Ethereum. That awkward moment. There we go. Okay, Ethereum daily time frame calling for sells as well. I don't like. Oh man, it definitely is really calling sells at this level right here. I kind of. I'm not saying that this sell is gonna not play out. It looks like it actually is gonna play out more than not. But the Level Pro and Arbitrage Z are not saying such, so that's a good thing. I'm just a little iffy with how that is looking right there. Bearish engulfing candle, retracement, continuation to the downside is kind of what I'm seeing. And if it's gonna sell, it would be right here where price is currently at that it'll sell at. That's my hypothesis at least. Let's just draw the fib on it from this high to this low. If price were to drop, it would be around here. Price is currently at the 4-hour upper danger zone. That's a place where I would look for some type of resistance. And the 1 hour time frame, yeah, same thing as what the Bitcoin 1 hour looked like. So yeah, at this point, I would rather just be patient and wait for a potential fall back down to like these zones before trying to get into any type of additional buys. Oh, and let me not forget, weekly time frame has not called for a buy. I mean, for a sell on Ethereum yet. Ever since freaking 20th of April, it hasn't called for a sell. And for Bitcoin, it has not. I mean, it called for a sell a couple months ago with the fake. I think like around over here. We'll see right now. Yeah, like right here, it called for a sell with the fake out, but then price ended up going bullish again. So yeah, these cryptos, according to Arbitrage, they are still very much. They are still looking good for buys, or not good for buys, but they're still good for like they're not bearish yet, right? Ethereum, as I've mentioned, this hit my stop loss, unfortunately. It is what it is. I'm glad that out of all the cryptos, this is the pair that I risk the least amount. That's what I usually do for the cryptos if I'm trading all three of them. I'll have Ethereum as the lowest. I'll have Ripple as the lowest risk. But again, same thing with Ripple. I would want 71% fib to get hit at 77 cents before potentially going bullish. I really need XRP to come back. I really want XRP to come back up to these highs, quite honestly. Only thing about XRP that it's not even the only thing this will actually help out with price getting down over here from that high to this low. Price came up to the 78.6 fib, and then it fell. Right now it's at the 23.6, where yes, technically speaking, it can still turn around and go bearish, but I wouldn't be against it if price really just came back down to like 78 cents, 77 cents for a potential buy. I mean, if price goes to, I think honestly speaking, if price goes back to like 70-ish cents, I'm gonna buy some Ripple again. Like, quite honestly. Like, I'm talking about actual Ripple, like in your wallet, like in your crypto holdings and stuff like that. I might get into some more Ripple if it comes down to 77 cents, 70 cents. That's like a really good sell for me. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling with Ripple right now. I don't really care how it's been holding at this demand zone. Or, sorry, supply zone. I really do not like how it has been holding there. From this drop, I mean, from that high to this low, the retracement, 61.8, price came to the 71% fib once, and then it's just been playing around there. So again, I don't necessarily care for how price has done that, but at this point, 70 cents, come at me. That's how I feel about XRP at this point. A weekly time frame. This is the first time I'm seeing on the weekly for quite some time now on Ripple that is calling for a potential sell, but it has 6 days and 23 hours left. Don't really like seeing that though for Ripple at all. Daily time frame. Yep, absolutely. I agree with that, bro. If the cryptos crash due to this new COVID thing, supposedly, we know where they are going to find support. Those higher time frame fibs, that's where we're going to find those support at. So let's see if these cryptos are really going to fall because of this new COVID strain that's been going around. That's what got the charge jumping, apparently. 4-hour time frame hasn't called for a buy. 1 hour time frame, I'm pretty sure has called for a buy, but it probably looks like Bitcoin and Ethereum calling for fake exits. Well, not fake exits, because I mean they really did fall. So I mean, is it a fake exit really? So yeah, those are the cryptos. Don't really have any entries that I'm looking at for them at this point in time. Going on over to GBP USD. Oh, I forgot to even complete that. All right, so this is off of a trade that I'm in. I basically have taken all my profits from that trade, quite honestly. Took a while to play out. Okay, hiding all that. Going on over with GU. So this was a structure that I had that I was like, okay, price rejected off of there, went bullish, and then on to the left of it, you see there's other interactions. So this was a main zone that I had drawn out. Right now, it's currently being used as a resistance, but I'm going to go ahead and close that off. Daily wise, we can see that GU is making lower highs and lower lows, right? That's just point blank period. It's making lower highs, lower lows. Weekly time frame, it's really not showing any signs of potentially slowing down for any sells either. So at this point in time, I'm just like, yo, what's going on with the lower time frames? I mean, actually, let me go into the weekly real quick. If I'm being real with myself here, the only place where I would really look for GU to come and find some type of support before it starts to really slow down on this sell. Oh, wow. Did it really actually just hit the 61.8 fib off of this? Oh, wow. It did. Okay, then. Well, then never mind. It literally, like, stopped me in my tracks. Yeah, I'm looking at these prices right here to see if this is where GU is potentially gonna slow down before it starts to make a bullish retracement, right? And what I mean by that is, I mean, because at this point it's kind of like, okay, this was the lower high, right? Price came over here. I mean, there's head and shoulders over here that we can kind of see, but this was the lower high that price broke, and price has been bearish for quite some time now. But it also was very bullish before all of this bearishness. Like, price was really doing the digital dash to the upside for a few weeks before it really said, okay, now I'm going to try to make a correction. So price just coming down over here to correct, as much as, yeah, it's possible because from this bullish move, the retracement continuation, that is a very it's a very large possibility. Price can still very much come down to 1.27218 as well. But I'm going to keep it player and just leave it right here for now, because I do want to see what price is going to do in this zone. Or, like, since it's already rejected off of it, I want to see what it's going to do at this demand zone where demand kicked in. Alright, so we're going to see what price is going to do over here. As of right now, though, nothing on the 4-hour or the daily is trying to tell me to try to get into this trade. On the 1 hour, I do like this wick that price had made, and price came and cleared out these equal lows. So kind of what I would want to see, or that's the 4 hour, yeah. So kind of what I would want to see is, okay, is this going to be a type of play? I mean, it kind of actually does look like that. Fake out to the downside. Ooh, hold on, boy. Ooh, hold on. Is this another play on GU? Alright, so yeah, I actually do like this play on GU where it's broken out of it's broken some structures. This was a previous higher low, and then it broke through that and even broken through this previous higher low. I would want to see this make a retracement for sure before going bullish, if that's what it's going to do over here. I just want this to be white, not yellow. Right? So GU, if it can give me something like this, then continue going bullish, then that'd be pretty solid for me for a potential buy. However, again, if I do get stopped out at break, if I do get stopped out, then that means that price might just end up continue going bearish. It could potentially keep going to 1.31300 basically, or something like that. But I do like this potential falling wedge that price is gonna start making a reversal on right now. I do like that potential at this point in time. It looks pretty clean. I think Peyton would actually be proud of me. So let's see what happens with GU. I'm definitely going to be looking at what Peyton might be seeing tomorrow or later tonight. If he's going to drop it in the next wave chat, who knows? We'll see. Definitely want to see that possibility of a reversal going on, though, because GU has been very, very bullish for a couple of days now. Okay, GBP USD on the weekly time frame real quick. It's been very much bearish. It came to the lower danger zone after calling for this magnificent sell. Took a couple weeks to happen. Daily time frame still very much bearish. Right now it's currently at the second deviation. So I'm not trying to play anything on those higher time frames quite yet. 4-hour time frame, I would still need for this RSI line to come down to 1.33575. So no play on the 1 hour either. On the 4 hour. On the 1 hour, I'm sure it's called for a buy, but at this point in time, again, I would kind of need a retracement before price goes bullish. So that's what I got for GU. Let me go on over to GBP AUD. Going ridiculously bullish. Played me with that, with those bulls. With stopping me out down here again at break even. But anyways, glad I didn't try to get into any sells right here on GA. It wasn't worth it. Peyton was mentioning that bull flag too many times. He didn't say too many times, but he said that bull flag was just too perfect. And yes, indeed it was. Look at this, like. Like what you thought this was? If it didn't play out, I would have been surprised. All right. So GA is at a point where I'm like, okay, if it's going to sell, I would want it to sell at this area. At first it was there, but I was like, you know what? It's best to be patient and wait for these highs to get hit instead of putting the fib from this high to this low in the retracement. That's what I had with this arrow. I changed it to let's just wait for up here. So now with GA, sorry, I was trying to crack my neck. Oh, that felt so good. All right, so with GA, what I would really want to see, kind of actually already doing it at this point, is I want to see it push to the downside and then make a retracement back up, and then I would look to sell it. So that's what I'm looking at for GA at this time. I know that if it retraces down over here, that would be from this bullish move. But then I want that bullish move to go into that 23.6 fib and then continue to fall. So that's what I'm going to be waiting for on GA. I actually like that play a lot. It was already like pre-talked about, so I'm not going to dive too deep into this. It definitely could continue going bullish because again, AUD USD, that thing looks like it's going to keep on. That thing looks like it's going to keep on going bearish, but I would want to see some type of retracement on it before I continue to sell it for AUD USD, right? And so for AUD USD, I usually tend to like to do the opposite with GBP AUD. Oh, and let me go look at arbitrage real quick. Sorry. What time is it? Oof. I've been on here for almost 2 hours now. Alright. GA. What was that play right there that I talked about? Was it on the daily? Yeah, it was definitely on the daily. Never happened though. Called for the buy. It didn't give me the retracement to the RSI line, but it did go bullish, so I can't fault it for that. So GA hit the upper danger zone. That's pretty solid, but I would want to be patient. I don't want to try to get into it right now. So 4 hour time frame, rejecting this second deviation, so that's cool. But again, I don't want to get in. I don't want to rush into it. So yeah, GA, I'm probably just gonna leave it alone for now. Wait for it to do some setups. I'll try to see what the 1 hour is gonna talk about for short opportunities, but again, I'm just gonna be patient and see if I can get that breakout to the downside, retracement, and then a sell. So going over to GBP JPY, and then I'll do Euro GBP, and that'll be it. I've been on this analysis for quite some time now. Alright, so GBP JPY. This is a pair that I had talked about last week, or I had mentioned. Hold on, give me a second. Alright, so GBP JPY is come to a zone where I had said, hey, right over here, it was making some bullish moves to the upside, but I'm like, this can still potentially come bearish, so I'm not really necessarily going to try to buy it. And so from this bullish move that it made, the retracement prices now come into that. It's hit the 78.6 fib, and right now it's at the 71% fib. At this point, I really want to see. There's going to be a contradiction to this kind of. At this point, I do want to see GBP JPY go bullish, but I would only want to see it go bullish to come back up to 155.987 or that area to then continue going bearish. Right? Reason why that is because, again, if I draw the fib from these highs and I take it to these lows where price just rejected off, where price just came from, the retracement is going to come back up to that 156 area that I was talking about, and then I want to see it continue pushing to the downside, right? I'm not against the buys right now, but just the way how that daily engulfing candle just popped up, that's where I'm kind of like, do I really want to try to get into a buy right here? Or do I want to wait for price to consolidate a little bit at this zone, or potentially even give me some good candlestick formations right here on the 4-hour time frame or 1-hour time frame, telling me that, okay, yes, it is potentially going to go for a buy. So right now, that's what I'm basically waiting for. I'm waiting for some kind of confirmation over here. A doji candle on the previous 4-hour candle, but that was off of the market open candle. So there's no confirmations here quite yet for me. So I gotta be patient and still wait a little bit more before I try to get into this GJ, right? What could potentially be happening? Hey, it could be something like this for all we know, right? It could be potentially making a falling wedge, but it's right now still making higher highs and higher lows, higher highs, higher low. I mean, it's making lower highs and lower lows, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. It could definitely still come and make a lower low. Who knows? Maybe it's making a falling wedge before it breaks out to the upside. So that's what I'll be waiting for, probably for it to come down, come up here, come down one more time, and then break out to the upside, retest, continuation. That's the kind of play that I'd be looking for on GJ at this point in time. But I'm not going to try to just hop into a buy quite yet. Arbitrage, kind of have to wait for a breakout to the upside regardless before I try to trade it on the 1 hour. So it's kind of the same thing basically. 4-hour time frame, very much bearish, I'm sure. Yep. Not going to try to trade it off the 4-hour or the daily. I think the daily was calling for some pretty decent sells a while back. Yep. Rejected the RSI line right there. Went pretty bearish, and that was really nice. And then weekly time frame, I believe I had mentioned that it had called for a sell like 2 weeks ago. Oh no, it's barely calling for a sell right now. I said it was going to probably call for a sell in a matter of 2 weeks, I think. So that's what I have for GJ. Not necessarily watching it, but we'll keep my eye on it. And last but not least for me, Euro GBP. Still kind of irritated that this played out, but that's cool. Let me delete everything that's on my chart. Daily time frame. Okay. Euro GBP. Price is still looking like it's making lower highs and lower lows on this weekly time frame, so I'm kind of like iffy on trying to say that I'm bullish on this pair. Like, yeah, it's not really falling wedge or anything like that necessarily from the looks on the weekly time frame. Daily time frame might be a little bit better looking. Right? Daily time frame might be a little bit better looking. There we go. There, that's as best as getting right now. So, at this point in time, kind of want to see, because, I mean, daily time frame, it's still making higher highs. I mean, lower lows and lower highs. Lower high, lower low, lower high. Well, no. Yeah. Yeah, because this was the lower high right here before. So, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. It's potentially lower high right here, but I would just, at this point, want to see what price is going to do once it gets to like 0.85342 before I decide if it's going to, or not even decide, but if I think that it's going to try to make a lower low, or what is gonna happen, right? I like the bullish engulfing on the daily time frame. I'm not gonna lie to anybody. I like seeing that a lot. If I go on to the lower time frames, like this is the bullish move that happened and price took off, but again, it is still making lower highs and lower lows on the higher time frame, and it hasn't necessarily broken even above a previous 4-hour lower high. So I'm just gonna be patient with EG, not really necessarily gonna try to trade it at this time. Maybe if it comes back down again, because on the 1-hour time frame it definitely has broken through some lower highs and it's making higher highs and higher lows. But again, it's kind of a risky thing on EG at this point. If it comes back down to something like this, hey, maybe I'll try it out. Maybe though, like I said, not too sure about it, but we'll see what the market looks like when the price gets there, right? So with that being said, is there? Oh, before let me go on to arbitrage real quick. Sorry. Daily time frame still looking bearish. Weekly time frame is still extraordinarily bearish. Like it's been struggling to break out to the upside for so long now. 4-hour time frame probably is setting up for a buy. Or no, actually this is probably played out for a buy. Yeah, it played out. And the 1-hour time frame probably looking to look for sells at this time actually. I was setting up for a potential sell. So I would have to look for something like this for EG possibly. So yeah, with that being said, is there any questions about or any pairs that anybody wants me to go over before I hop off? The floor is open. I've been on here for almost 2 hours. So Daniel, you can go ahead and hit me up more later if you want to learn more about that. I would highly recommend though that you focus on more on what you're learning right now rather than about the arbitrage thing. That's just my personal opinion for right now, because that's how, like, it's better for you to understand the charts and then you can hop into stuff like that. So yeah. All right, well, if there's no other questions, then thanks, y'all. I appreciate it. And let's see what the market brings us. I have some alerts set and all that stuff. Let me see what gold's talking about, because I hope it didn't really go too far ahead of me. Okay, it hasn't. Good. Because like I said, that's something I'm getting on right now. So with that being said, later, y'all, and hope y'all have a good rest of your night, and let's have a profitable week. Later.